we've got. Order. Andrew Pakes to move the motion.
I beg to move the motion has been considered on the value of apprenticeships. Thank you, Chair Christine Jardine. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship in my first debate of this nature, and I'd like to thank the Backbench Business Committee and its chair, the Honourable Member for Harrow East, for granting me the time for this important topic. I should declare my interest ahead of this debate. I am co-chair of the All-Party Group on Apprenticeships. I should also declare skills and apprenticeships are my political passion in this House. Chair, we are about to celebrate National Apprenticeships Week, which runs next week. It's right that we celebrate the success of more than 750,000 apprenticeships who are powering skills and productivity in our local economies. I've now had the privilege to meet and visit over 100 businesses and their apprentices since I've been elected. The breadth and talent and determination has been humbling, from butchers' apprentices in Newborough and engineering students at Caterpillar in my own constituency, to construction apprentices at Lang O'Rourke building a new Olympia, to most recently brilliant and creative learners at the Retail Fashion Academy. One of the most inspiring days I've spent as an MP was in meeting learners and employers at the National Theatre to understand more about how we support apprenticeships in the creative arts.
Would the Honourable Member give way on that?
I will happily give way.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. And also, I would like to thank you for raising this debate today. The creative industries have been identified as a growth-driving sector, and I know the government recognises the impact the arts have on the wider economy. We must build more talented pipelines and widen accessibility to careers in the arts for the longevity of the sector. In my role as co-chair of the APPG for Theatre, I've looked at the critical skill shortages the sector faces in technical backstage roles, from lighting to sound clinicians to wigs, hair and makeup. That's why it's crucial for Skills England to review the seasonality of theatre work and explore the development of shorter-term apprenticeships to widen access to those entry-level roles. Oh, would he agree with me? Sorry.
I would like to 100% agree with my honourable friend, and as we've discussed previously, we both want to make sure jobs in theatre, the arts, creative industries open to young people in our constituencies as well as across the country. Chair, we were the first country to pass a National Apprenticeship Act when the Tudor Parliament in 1563 enacted the Statute of Artificers. It's mind-boggling to think how much our society and economy have changed since then. What has not changed is the timeless requirement of educating the next generation and ensuring novices in the jobs market are set forth in the working world with all the pride and self-reliance of mastering a new occupation, profession or skill. Over the past few years, we have received various reports into the status, scale and success of apprenticeships. It's clear the system isn't working as it should be. And in my view, it's a national disgrace that the number of apprenticeships fell under the last government.
Thank you for securing this really important debate at the start of the National Apprenticeship Week. Apprenticeships are particularly important in rural areas like Glastonbury and Somerton because they provide a really valuable pathway for young people to gain practical skills and then go on to secure employment within their local communities. That then helps to combat rural depopulation and boost the local economy. But there's a conflict between there being, I suppose, despite apprenticeships being good, the levy is not. So does the Honourable Member agree with me that the apprenticeship levy should be scrapped?
Remind members, please. We have a lot of people wanting to get in on this debate, and we need to keep questions much shorter in order to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and I agree with my colleague's comments, which is why I welcome the announcement in September last year by my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, and my right honourable friend, the Education Secretary, of a new growth and skills levy to replace the existing apprenticeship levy and include new foundation apprenticeships. This will give young people a route into careers where the nation has skills gap. It cannot be stated often enough, nor loudly enough, that apprenticeships not only transform the lives of those who take them, they are also vital to our economy and growth. Ministers have one single unifying, animating purpose, that is to get the economy growing, which I wholeheartedly endorse. Yes.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way, and I know, like me, he's a passionate advocate for apprenticeships. In Barrow, in fairness, apprenticeships play a huge role and are vital to the workforce needed for the defence sector. BAE have an incredible 94% completion rate, compared to the average national of 51%. Does the honourable member agree that the government's much-needed reforms are vital for improving access to good skilled jobs and growing this economy in industries like the defence sector? And what thoughts have been given to improving the national completion rate?
Thank you very much. I very much agree with my colleagues' comments. In my previous role before Parliament, I was a union official at Prospect, which represented many members in the defence sector and in Barrow, and know full well the great expertise of apprenticeships in the defence sector, which we need more of for our national security and for new jobs. Chair, growth will come because of a range of factors: inward investment, trade deals, shaking up the planning system, boosting infrastructure, backing business. But a surefire way to stimulate growth is to invest in people, people's skills, people's energy and people's talents. Just yesterday, I met with apprentices from KPMG, from level 3 to level 7, from all parts of the country, apprentices and KPMG working together to bring new opportunities. It was brilliant to hear from Gabby from Peterborough about her own story and lessons for how we ensure more young people in Peterborough get the same opportunities. And Chair, that means to me nothing short of a revolution in our system of apprenticeships. I am proud the previous Labour government revitalised apprenticeships, the largest expansion we saw in our history. And I also welcome cross-party support for the innovation since all-age apprenticeships, all qualification approaches to workplace learning. So yes, proud but not satisfied. We need to address head-on why there are 900,000 young people across our country not in education, employment or training, why young people cannot access the opportunities they need, and why the opportunities are not there in the first place. This matters in a city like Peterborough, where we've seen falling apprenticeship numbers and rising levels of youth unemployment. On Friday last week, I was pleased to co-host a NEETS summit jointly with Peterborough College, ARU Peterborough, local businesses and providers to look how we can make this work better in my constituency. We need to put rocket boosters under the number of firms who take on apprenticeships, not as some form of altruism, but as a smart business sense. We also need to reform to ensure apprenticeship standards work for business and learners. And I would ask the Minister to ensure that we remove the artificial barriers to success in academic English and maths and move quickly to business-ready, work-ready, functional skills where they matter. So yes, this is Apprenticeship Week. So I want to address one other issue before I finish, and that's not just about the policy of apprenticeships, but instead the cultural barriers. The fact is, for too many parts of the UK, there is a hang-up about apprenticeships, and so many parts of the system are obsessed with university. Now, of course, we should value our world-class universities and celebrate the hard work of our university students. And as a former president of the National Union of Students, of course I recognise the vital role British universities play in our national story. However, apprenticeship should be seen as equally valid alternative route, a legitimate way to gain skills and experience, and a vital contributor to our economic prosperity. And yet in public policy, sometimes they are not. Why is this? I fear there is a snobbery still about apprenticeships in the UK, which is not found in the same way in our competitor countries like Germany or Sweden, who are more competitive. Too often there is an assumption, lazy and misguided, that apprenticeships are second best to degrees and that apprentices are lesser than undergraduates. We often use the phrase, university is not for everyone, as though university is the gold standard and apprenticeships are the also-ran for second-class kids. The English class system exerts itself and places people into boxes, limiting horizons, prejudicing futures and stifling ambitions. This must stop. It must stop, not only for the good of the brilliant, energetic, ambitious young people and the not-so-young people who embark on apprenticeships, but also for the good of the economy and growth. We won't secure growth with one hand tied behind our back. And all the apprentices I have met, hardly any say their journey was made easier by careers support at school. That is why we need change. Change in our career service. make it easier for businesses to support learners and parents, and a step change in how we regard apprenticeships. So, Chair, we're coming up to National Apprenticeship Week. Let's be loud and proud about apprenticeships. Let's challenge the stigma. Let's call out the snobs. Let's put apprenticeships centre stage in our policy making, in our economic mission, and in our national culture. Thank you.
Can I remind members to bob if they wish to be called in a debate, and with the number of speakers we have, if you all want to get in, I'm going to have to ask you please to try and limit yourselves to 3 minutes. The question is that this House has considered the value of apprenticeships and National Apprenticeships Week. Peter Bedford. Oh, sorry, he's not here. Could I have Jim Shannon, please?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm always happy to be a substitute. Thank you very much. First of all, can I commend the Honourable Gentleman for Peterborough for leading the debate. Spoke to him beforehand. The reason there's a big crowd here today is because it's all important to each and every one of us. I look forward to hearing the Minister's contribution, and I know it'll always be positive, and I look forward to her answers to our questions. Many will know that I am, and indeed we're all here for the same purpose, a massive supporter of apprenticeships and the value that they bring to the world of careers for young people. I put an early day motion, told the Honourable Gentleman for Peterborough beforehand, early day motion down in the House about Northern Ireland apprenticeship, which was 2 weeks ago, because I see the good and the potential for apprentices across Northern Ireland. So I'm giving a Northern Ireland perspective to this debate to complement and replicate and support the Honourable Gentleman and all of those who will speak. Some 13,000 apprentices across Northern Ireland, and I know some incredible opportunities for young people within my constituency of Strangford. It's great to be here to say that. Companies like Talis, many car companies, are brilliant at encouraging young people of their apprenticeship path. We met the Talis just before Christmas, the Honourable Member for East Belfast and myself, and I was really impressed by the work that they're doing with apprenticeships. The apprentices at a good wage, it starts small and gives them encouragement to stay at it, and also their student fees were paid by the companies as well, just as an example of what could be done. And job suitability is about nothing more than having the desire and the work ethic to learn. It's very important, of course, Madam Chair, that we look at the range of stakeholders, local councils, employers, further education colleges, universities and others. The South Eastern Regional College in my constituency of Strangford are brilliant in supporting young people through their educational journey, and are holding their Spring Awards in Terrace Pavilion on Monday the 3rd of March. So I very much look forward to that and sharing their success. In Northern Ireland, we also have a tradition of work in the construction sector, especially in my constituency of Strangford, but in the Arts Peninsula. So it's really important that there be plenty of opportunities for those to advance, some to having their own business. The Department of Economy in Northern Ireland has set aside some 600,000 funds to increase apprenticeship participation amongst women, people with disabilities, individuals from disadvantaged areas. It's a collaboration between education, between business and community centres to develop innovative solutions for enhancing inclusivity in apprenticeships. This year's theme is one, getting it right for you, for the apprentices. So that's what we want to try and do. To conclude, Madam Chair, job creation is so important for sectors across the UK, for sectors like STEM, for mechanicking, for aerospace, for defence. There are endless opportunities which we must do more to make our young people aware of. And for boys and girls, for men and women, both of them can take advantage. I'm really encouraged by the women in Northern Ireland who are looking for jobs in engineering. So I look forward to the Minister's contribution and doing all we can to support apprenticeship opportunities across the devolved nations. Thank you so much.
Alex McIntyre.
Thank you, Michelle. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship today. I'd like to thank the member for Peterborough for securing this important debate. Apprenticeships matter. They matter because they break down the barriers to opportunity, giving residents in cities like mine in Gloucester the skills they need to succeed in life. And I know that this government is committed to creating a fairer, more inclusive system, one that equips individuals not only with the skills they need today, but also with the skills we'll all need in the future. We're introducing a youth guarantee, transforming FE colleges and fostering collaboration between businesses, training providers and government to build a highly skilled workforce ready to support Labour's industrial strategy. And I hope in Gloucestershire we will take advantage of the devolution of adult skills funding, empowering local leaders to take charge of skills development in our local area. And importantly, we will reform the apprenticeship levy, which has proven ineffective, and in its place, the government will introduce a flexible growth and skills levy, creating a fairer system that works for both employers and learners in Gloucester. I recently met with the principal... I'll give way.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way. When I spoke to an apprenticeships organisation in my constituency of Rugby called Intech Business Colleges, they pointed out one of the deficiencies with the previous apprenticeship levy being that the threshold meant that it was most applicable to and attracted to larger companies. And this has meant, sadly, that the SME market has been significantly disadvantaged. So does he agree with me that as this government reforms this levy in a more effective way, we want to do everything we can to encourage SMEs to gain from apprentices and for young people, therefore, to have more opportunities?
For his intervention, I agree with him entirely. SMEs are the backbone of our business community. I recently met with the Federation of Small Businesses in the South West to discuss the opportunities in small, medium-sized businesses in Gloucester and across the region. And as he says, apprenticeships are so important to those, and making sure that the new levy is flexible so that everyone can take part, and that we can make sure that every person in our country can benefit from the opportunities. And I recently met with the principal of Gloucester College to discuss those opportunities and the vital role of FE colleges in helping young people develop the skills they need for the future. But challenges do remain, and our higher and further education system is under significant strain, and many young people are leaving school without the skills or preparation that they need for the future. Therefore, I would be grateful if the Minister could set out the steps the government is taking to support FE colleges and work placements in their closing remarks. Apprenticeships are not just a pathway to employment, but a key driver of opportunity for future generations. They provide people with the chance to gain valuable skills, earn while they learn, and build fulfilling careers. And by supporting people to gain skills in sectors like technology, science, engineering, health and education, we are building a skilled workforce that will benefit individuals, businesses and the economy. The steps this government is taking will leave a lasting legacy of opportunity, ensuring a prosperous future and a workforce ready for the challenges ahead. This will lay the foundations for a stronger Britain, one in which the future is bright and one in which Gloucester thrives. Thank you.
Wendy Morton.
Serve under your chairmanship today, but also I welcome the opportunity to speak in this debate today, and I commend the Honourable Member for Peterborough for bringing it forward, particularly ahead of National Apprenticeship Week next week. I think those of us in this place appreciate that apprenticeships play a crucial role in developing skills, supporting businesses and providing opportunities for young people to embark on meaningful careers. And I'm proud on the progress that was made in this area, and I'm keen to see how we can continue to see progress moving forward. Because between 2010 and 2024, the Conservative Government delivered 5.8 million apprenticeships, creating routes into 70% of occupations. And in the last academic year alone, apprenticeship starts increased to 278,590, with 66% of those supported by the apprenticeship levy. These figures highlight my party's commitment to ensuring that young people and adults alike have access to high-quality training that meets the demands of our economy. We've also seen the successful rollout of T-levels since 2020, another innovative qualification combining study with workplace experience. Now, across my constituency, I've seen some absolutely fantastic examples of apprenticeships making a real difference. Just last week, I met an apprentice who was called Stan at Shorespan, a local access solutions business, a manufacturing business in Aldridge, but with global markets. They're investing heavily in apprenticeships and technical training. Income Training is another outstanding apprenticeship provider. And events such as the Brown Hills Job Centre Apprenticeship Fair further demonstrate the enthusiasm and the need from both businesses and learners in supporting apprenticeships. However, I think it's important that we ensure apprenticeships remain high quality and accessible, and they are offered as a career choice alongside university. Whilst local businesses across my constituency are actively creating apprenticeships, I would like to ask the Minister, when it comes to her turn to sum up in the debate, to confirm that the focus will remain not just on quantity, but on the quality of these apprenticeships too. I would like to raise concerns about funding and accessibility for SMEs. I think this is really important, particularly with businesses feeling the impact of ENICs, the job tax. You cannot just keep squeezing and squeezing a small business. Without that, we will not see increases and investment in employment and apprenticeship opportunities. So, Chair, I'm very conscious that the clock is ticking and I could speak a lot longer on this topic. You may have guessed I am rather passionate about it. But apprenticeships are a crucial pillar of our education and skills system. They provide young people with the opportunity to learn while they earn, to support businesses in finding the skilled workforce they need and contribute to our nation's economy. Let's work together to make sure we see more apprenticeships in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank McNally.
Under your chairship. I congratulate my honourable friend for securing this important debate today and welcome the opportunity to recognise the importance of UK Apprenticeship Week, although Miss Jardine and I will be celebrating Scottish Apprenticeship Week next month. Prior to my election, I spent many years as Chair of Education in North Lanarkshire, Scotland's second largest education authority, in an area where 1 in 4 children are living in poverty, and that route through education and entering positive pathways is absolutely critical. For many, that involves apprenticeships, which break down the barriers to opportunity, and that successful apprenticeship journey works most effectively with the efforts of schools, further education, government and employers. During my time in office, I was pleased that we were able to operate the largest foundation apprenticeship programme in Scotland, and just last year there were more than 2,000 modern apprenticeships starts in North Lanarkshire. However, in Coatbridge and Bellsill and across Scotland, despite the efforts of employers and learners, challenges remain. It beggars belief that despite the record settlement that the UK Government has given to Scotland, the Scottish Government's draft budget includes a real terms cut in apprenticeship funding. Colleges Scotland have also warned that the Scottish Government's budget for the next financial year will deliver a real terms cut of 1.4% for the college sector, following a shocking 17% real terms cut in recent years and the termination of more than 1,700 posts since 2020. I've said on a number of occasions since the election that in Scotland and across the UK we need a skills revolution. It's the only way that we will transform our physical and digital infrastructure and deliver the well-paid jobs of the future. It is therefore not acceptable that the number of apprenticeship starts for 16 to 24-year-olds in Scotland has fallen by 5,800, a drop of 28% in the last 10 years, according to analysis from the CIPD. And furthermore, just last month, the Chief Executive of Scottish Engineering highlighted this year 1 in 5 potential high-quality engineering apprenticeships have been lost due to a lack of funding. So it is right that the Labour Government is committed to fixing the mess left by the Tories with the new apprenticeship reforms, and it's absolutely critical, Ms Jardine, that we get a government in Scotland that has a similar laser focus. Thank you.
Shaukat Adam, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, Ms Jardine, and I'd like to thank my honourable friend from Peterborough, where I also have a business, and I concur everything that he said. Let me begin by highlighting the remarkable return on investment that apprenticeships provide. Studies have actually shown, and I know since my time here everything leads to the Treasury, that every £1 invested in Level 2 and Level 3 apprenticeship training, we see a return of between £26 and £28. This is a real big win, not just for the apprentices, but for the employers, but also for the apprenticeships. For many individuals, and this has been pointed out before, who do not thrive in traditional academic environments, apprenticeships are a lifeline. I lost so many of my friends and colleagues and peers who were by far more brighter than I was, but just didn't fit into the conventional educational system. And if they had an apprenticeship model, they would have been really, really successful. And unfortunately, they are now without work after so many decades, and especially in areas like arts and unconventional areas. So there are several challenges that I think both employers and apprentices face, and amongst the most important ones are that the system complexity. It's so complicated for employers that I have spoken to employ apprenticeships. It was meant to make things easier, but it's in fact made things more complicated. So I think what we need to do is really concentrate on introducing a system which is going to make the levy system a lot more simpler for employers. Possibly we need to revisit the tax treatment of self-funded training. Employer-funded training benefits from broad tax exemptions, while self-funded training does not enjoy the same advantages. To encourage greater training uptake among the self-employed and smaller businesses, we should align the tax relief for self-funded training and employer-funded training, levelling the playing field and incentivising skills development. And also, we must improve administrative support and reduce the regulatory complex, as I mentioned before. The decline in apprenticeship numbers and the overall reduction in training participation are not just statistics. There are signals that our current system is too complex and that both employers and apprentices are facing real, tangible challenges. And before I conclude, I would like to pose just a few questions to the Minister. How will the government simplify the apprenticeship levy to ensure a uniform and effective subsidy rate for all employers, regardless of size? What measures will be introduced to ensure the public funding for adult education is increased and spent effectively to achieve outcomes? How does the government plan to address the administrative burdens that discourage employers? And will the tax treatment of self-funded training be reviewed to create a level playing field for everybody? Thank you.
Baggy Shanker, please.
It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship, Ms Jardine. And I'd like to start by thanking also my honourable friend for Peterborough for securing such a hugely important debate as we approach National Apprenticeship Week. National Apprenticeship Week will bring us together to shine a spotlight on the fantastic businesses and apprentices across our country, and rightly so. Across the country, apprentices are building skills for life. They are also helping us plug massive skill shortages across critical national infrastructure sectors as they train. One of these sectors where we lack suitably qualified and experienced people, where apprenticeships are building skills for the future, is the nuclear sector. I had the real pleasure last week of meeting and speaking to apprentices from Rolls-Royce, on which I must refer the House to my members' register of financial interests. These highly skilled, hard-working apprentices are based at Rolls-Royce's Rainsway site in Derby. They are designing propulsion plants which will power the next generation of AUKUS submarines and safeguard our national security for years to come. These apprentices are working and should be rightly proud of what they do. As much as I love speaking to apprentices working in businesses across my constituency, I don't need to take their word on how valuable their experiences are. I myself know how valuable an apprenticeship can be and what a fulfilling career trajectory it can lead to. Although I must say, when I first walked through the doors at Courtaulds to start my apprenticeship back in 1989, I wouldn't have imagined I'd end up in this place. Having decided that A-levels didn't feel right for me, I began a 4-year broad craft apprenticeship. This allowed me to build my practical skills and attend college 1 day a week before going on to specialise as an instrument and control mechanic. I want every child in Derby and across the country to be educated about the amazing career opportunities which apprenticeships can offer. Our teenagers and young people must be able to make an informed choice about their next step, whether that's university or whether they're entering the workplace as an apprentice. The curriculum has an important role to play here, and it's vital that we give every child the practical, hands-on learning experience. It's also important that students can understand where these experiences might link to a range of vocational opportunity once they leave school. I'm pleased that the Labour government has brought forward the curriculum and assessment review, which will ensure that children leave school ready to enter the workplace. As a former apprentice, I will always advocate for the huge value apprenticeships hold. Apprenticeships are not second best. They are fulfilling and exciting opportunity that our education system must support and reflect.
Tony Vaughan.
It's a privilege to serve under your chairship, Ms Jardine. I want to thank my honourable friend, the member for Peterborough, for securing this vital debate. I want to start by mentioning an injustice. It isn't right economically or morally that so many young people who want to enjoy vocational education have not benefited from the same opportunities as university students. In my constituency of Folkestone and Hythe, there is incredible potential for a thriving apprenticeship system. My constituency has strengths in the creative industries, as well as green energy and nuclear, and we are home to Little Court Chain Wind Farm and Dungeness Nuclear Power Station. But the potential for apprenticeships is untapped. Despite the significant number of regeneration projects in Folkestone and Hythe, the number of apprenticeship starts in construction, planning and the built environment fell by 49% in 2022 to 2023 compared with the year before. Currently, there are 500 16 to 24-year-olds who are searching for work in Folkestone and Hythe but cannot find it. Apprenticeships have a critical role to play in supporting people to succeed in the workforce. I want to celebrate East Kent College in Folkestone, which in 2023 was judged by Ofsted to be outstanding and offers an incredible range of qualifications like BTECs, T-levels and adult education, as well as a junior college. I also want to commend the work of large businesses locally like EDF, as well as smaller local businesses like Jenner and Park Farm Construction, who provide brilliant apprenticeships. But frustratingly, spending on training by businesses is at its lowest level since 2011. So I want to speak directly to employers in Folkestone and Hythe. When you invest in apprenticeships, you invest in our young people. When you invest in our young people, you invest in our future and our community. And if you support the local community, the community will come back and give back to your businesses and support its success. I believe it's critical that the government has made, also believe it's critical that part of Skills England's mandate will be to collaborate with the Migration Advisory Committee to ensure that we prioritise training of our young people before reaching to recruit from abroad. I believe the government's reforms will benefit many young people in Folkestone and Hythe who feel disenfranchised. They believe the 21st century economy does not necessarily serve them, in many cases after industrialisation, when we gave them a pound shop in the place of a workshop. They may well be right. So I have some questions for the Minister in terms of future policy development. I'd welcome the publication of a timeline as to when we can expect the phased development of Skills England. How does the government plan to align our industrial strategy, Invest 2035, with its apprenticeship strategy? And how can the government use apprenticeships to reduce youth unemployment and long-term economic activity? Much was made of Tony Blair's desire to see 50% of young people start university, but there are a lot of people, whether they've gone to university or not, who are ill-prepared for the 20th century economy. We've had education, education, education. Now we need apprenticeships, apprenticeships, apprenticeships.
Alison Taylor.
Thank you, and it is a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship today. And can I also thank my honourable friend, the member for Peterborough, for introducing this topic today. Can I also draw attention to my register of interests? The value of apprenticeships is something I have had personal experience of during my career and also within my own family. My own father, who became a Fellow of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, completed an apprenticeship in the surveying department of a local authority rating department in the early 1960s, coming from a working-class family in Glasgow. This opportunity was the making of him, and he went on to have a successful and enjoyable career. By the time that I started my career in the same route, qualifying as a chartered surveyor, that began through the university route. But today, firms like Global Real Estate Advisors Avis & Young, where I worked, offer a range of apprenticeships for town planners, surveyors, project managers, and across support functions like marketing, IT and HR. I have come to really understand the value of apprenticeships as a way to improve productivity, with apprentices joining the workforce at the age of 16 onwards in Scotland, able to earn and contribute while learning on the job, combining with study at college or university on day release. Apprenticeships improve staff retention and loyalty. From an employer's point of view, they introduce fresh talent and promote diversity in the workplace. From the employee's point of view, apprenticeships present opportunities for some who otherwise may not have had the chance to combine on-the-job training with a degree-level qualification. Today, apprenticeships are available in a much wider range of career paths than ever before. I would strongly encourage employers and young people in my constituency of Paisley and Renfrewshire North to consider the apprenticeship route to work. If they do, they will find that West College Scotland do an outstanding job of supporting learners and employers across my constituency to develop the skills that they need. I doubt that we can overstate the importance of apprenticeships, and I am pleased to be able to support Apprenticeship Week. Thank you.
Julie Minns.
Thank you, Ms Gordon, and thank you also to my colleague and friend, the Honourable Member for Peterborough, for bringing this important debate. Bendell's engineering in my constituency of Carlisle can trace its roots back to 1894. Founded as a family-run business, Bendell's can lay claim to having manufactured the body parts of Donald Campbell's Bluebird cars and boats in the 1920s. And in the 1950s, the company became one of the first suppliers of bespoke equipment to Britain's first nuclear facility. I was therefore delighted to learn that the latest chapter in Bendell's history of innovation is to be an on-site skills academy managed by the Lakes College. My constituency brims with companies like Bendell's, from international firms like Pirelli, locally headquarters companies like Grain Broadband, to other family-founded businesses like the haulier W.M. Armstrong, industrial supplier Thomas Graham, and agricultural machinery provider Rickaby's. All are committed to building a pipeline of talent through their apprenticeship programmes, a pipeline that is complemented by the excellent array of apprenticeship programmes offered by Carlisle College. In geographically remote places like my constituency, with low inward migration and an ageing population, these apprenticeship schemes are the lifeblood of our local economy. What a shame, then, that under the previous government, and slightly in contrast to the rosy picture painted by the Honourable Member for Aldridge Brownhills, that under the last government, fewer and fewer people embarked on apprenticeships. Indeed, between 2017, when the apprenticeship levy was introduced, and 2023, apprenticeships fell by 31%. Whilst at the same time, the number of skilled job vacancies more than doubled. That's why
I set out my case during my speech, Mrs Jardine, but since the Honourable Lady is so passionate about apprenticeships, perhaps she can explain to me how she thinks the government's interest in employer national insurance is going to help with the creation of more apprenticeships. You cannot simply keep pushing and pushing businesses, squeezing their profit margins and expecting them to be able to invest in employment opportunities, training, etc., etc.
Thank you, and I thank the Honourable Member for that intervention. We are having a debate on apprenticeships, and the facts that I have put forward are the fact that under the last government they fell by 31%. I do think it would be very welcome if the members opposite started to own their record in government. This government, by contrast, is committed to making apprenticeship work for employers, apprentices and our country, closing regional growth gaps, targeting the skilled jobs the country is crying out for, and giving businesses like Bendell's more flexibility on the courses that are funded.
Joe Morris.
Thank you, Ms. Jardine. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship. I'm very proud to be speaking here today on the value of apprenticeships and National Apprenticeships Week. As the representative of the largest constituency in England, it will be unsurprising to my old friend from Peterborough and to everyone that I want to speak about apprenticeships in Northumberland and in the North East, in Calton and Trockley as well, where young people typically have extreme difficulty accessing apprenticeships. I visited my old school on Friday. I had the pleasure of speaking to the deputy head and speaking about the issues that many of the students at QEHS still have getting access to skilled employment after they leave school, vocational education. Simply put, for many people in the North East who want to remain in the North East, there are simply not enough jobs there, particularly in Northumberland. And it's one of the major failures of the previous government that young people simply had to leave Hexham in order to find their future, find their life elsewhere. And I do not wish to score political points on that. I think it's a political reality that people need to leave. And it is one of the things that I will judge myself by, is whether or not people can make their home and make their life in Northumberland. Apprenticeship programmes are essential to increasing social mobility, to increasing pride in communities, and frankly to combating some of the depopulation that we see in my part of the world. Unfortunately, as I've said before in this chamber and in the chamber itself, representing the place I grew up, I'm much more likely to bump into the parents and grandparents of my schoolmates than I am to actually bump into my schoolmates in the street, which I think is a tragedy and a shame. Unfortunately, though, we need to ensure that local businesses are able to benefit from flexibility. Having spent a couple of years working in the steel sector, I saw highly sought-after apprenticeships in that sector that were much more competitive than Oxford and Cambridge. But we have an apprenticeship regime that is designed for multinational companies, that is not designed for industries that are far smaller, for businesses like Brock's British Farm Shop, which I visited a couple of weeks ago and had an incredibly productive conversation with about the challenges they face. They want to offer more young people employment, more upskilling. One of the things they're held back by is not just inflexibility in the current regime, and I would urge the government to look at that and look at how they can work with rural businesses and with small businesses in particular about making the apprenticeship scheme work better for them, but also poor transport links. One of the things that make a major difference to them is simply being able to have a bus stop slightly nearer their premises that would massively increase the ability of younger people to get out there, to get the skills they need while earning an income. And as I come to the end, I would just urge the Minister to seriously consider how we can improve apprenticeships, not just in major urban centres, in areas with good transport links, but in areas with poor transport links, because transport infrastructure is a key part of the entire piece of how we improve this issue.
Thank you. With the number of speakers, we will now have to move to 2 minutes, unfortunately. Terry Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Chair. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship today, and I congratulate my honourable friend from Peterborough for securing this debate. And actually, it is heartening to see so many members here today talking about this important subject, although it does seem rather weighted on one side of the room today. And I was keen to contribute to this debate because in rural areas like my South West Norfolk constituency, apprenticeships are crucial. Apprenticeships offer a way into many industries in rural community, including land management, farming, planning services, engineering, energy, as well as nature conservation. And so often I talk to businesses in my constituency who struggle to recruit. They cannot find the people with the right skills, and as a result, their businesses often suffer. And I think apprenticeships are an important tool for addressing this challenge. One such business in my constituency that has been successfully leading the way on apprenticeships is Warren Services in Thetford, under the direction of Richard Bridgman and his son Will. Warren Services are an engineering firm with a proud track record of more than 30 years. To their credit, Warren are committed to building the workforce of the future, and they routinely go out to schools, academies, colleges to inspire young people to pursue a career in engineering and manufacturing, and they regularly host recruitment days. There's one coming up next week on the 13th of February. I don't normally advocate for second jobs, but if anyone wants a level 2 in apprenticeships, they're available next week. But I am delighted that this Labour government is doing more to support firms like Warren and make apprenticeships a key part of their employment offer. And in particular, I welcome the focus on green skills and the green skills gap in this country. It's absolutely crucial to tackling the climate and nature crisis, building a workforce with the skills needed to transition to a greener society.
Thank you. Jodie Gosling.
And thank you to the member from Peterborough who brought this debate forward today. Too many of our children, as we've already heard, are out of school and education, leaving school ill-equipped for the world of work, and apprenticeships are a vital tool to help people attain hands-on skills while still earning without the financial repercussions of universities or college life. providing the specific tailored skills for our local economies that are needed to grow, and helping support the local fund. For many of our young people, they also are a second chance, especially for those that did not fit into the school system as is now. I recently had the pleasure to meet a group of students at ASDA and supported by an internship, which was particularly noteworthy as the children that we met had significant learning difficulties. The internship gave them a supported way into the workplace and the skills that they needed to start to thrive. They'd worked incredibly hard in the significant development of their skills. I was struck by how well integrated they were into their workplace and with their colleagues, and the pride of their tutors with their increased confidence. This is especially important with disabled people twice as unlikely to find employment. Finding a job early and grounding it in the skills and development transforms the lives of the young people in Nuneaton and the United Kingdom as a whole. We have a rich, diverse bedrock of small businesses, micro businesses in Nuneaton who find it more and more challenging to access apprenticeships. One of the reasons why apprenticeships between 2018 and 2023 in Nuneaton halved. We've been working alongside umbrella bodies who remove some of the barriers to entering apprenticeships for trade and small businesses, and would very much welcome more investment in removing the barriers for small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Honourable Friend, for securing this really important debate. In the interest of time, I'll focus just down on one issue, that being the awareness of apprenticeship opportunities, particularly amongst school leavers. When I go around my constituency of Rosendale and Darwin, I'm inspired by the range of opportunities that our great businesses actually offer. But at the same time, skills and the ability to recruit people to the jobs that they need remains one of their key constraints to growth. But when I go into schools and talk to young people, the awareness amongst them of the opportunities available to them remains remarkably low. And this is reflected in take-up. Only 25% of apprenticeships are taken up by school leavers. That's around 80,000 in 2023 compared with over 300,000 applying to universities. And take-up was dominated just within two sectors, leaving many other areas completely underrepresented. And we see this reflected in surveys. While 70% of parents would recommend an apprenticeship to a child, only 1 in 10 were confident in supporting them through the application process, compared to 4 in 10 with university applications. Within teachers, 82% said they felt confident talking about university opportunities, compared to just 27% for apprenticeships. This is a fundamental issue. And indeed, the National Foundation for Educational Research, looking at barriers to young people accessing apprenticeships, found that this was the principal barrier to take up, a lack of in-depth understanding of apprenticeships amongst young people, their parents, carers and teachers, including the opportunity for career progression. This is preventing young people from even getting to the point of application. So a question to the Minister then, really, to the degree to which, first of all, we're assessing the impact of the enhanced Baker clause and what more we can do to enhance this awareness amongst schools, businesses and others, and also the degree to which we should be looking far more closely at destination measures within Ofsted judgments where education leads, not just the qualifications that people get.
Pam Cox.
Thank you, Ms Joddy. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship today, and I thank my honourable friend for securing this debate as we approach National Apprenticeships Week. In my own constituency of Colchester, we're really fortunate to have a diverse range of apprenticeship opportunities, from healthcare roles at Colchester Hospital and other parts of the NHS through to retail, law and engineering, and many of those are offered via the Colchester Institute and their university centre. Data from the Department of Education shows that in Colchester in 2023-24, there were 370 apprenticeship starts with over 1,400 people participating. Now, they're good numbers, but they're not great numbers, and we really need to up those numbers locally in Colchester and across Essex. Unfortunately, also in recent years, we have seen a fall in the level of uptake of intermediate level qualifications, a reduction of nearly 50%, as I understand it, in the last 5 years, which is something that really does need to be addressed, because it's these apprenticeships often giving people a vital entry into the workforce that are so crucial. So I would encourage the Minister to look at how we can support intermediate level apprenticeships, but also the higher level ones in the very near future, and to give employers and indeed universities the maximum flexibility to tailor a new apprenticeship offer for new times. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to see that this debate is so well attended. It's clear we could have had it 3 times as long and still filled the time we have. I would just like to reflect on some of the things that we've heard there. I believe that the previous government did have a commitment to apprenticeships, but what they didn't have was any kind of systemic approach. They had a huge raft of different initiatives. But actually what we don't have in this country is a proper skills system. We have a number of different qualifications that don't actually work coherently together. And that's why we see the very low completion rate, because many people complete their course but actually don't need the qualification in order to get the job. Many people, the government previously focused on T-levels, but actually you can't do an apprenticeship via the T-level. So what we really need the government to do, and what we need Skills England to do as it's being created, is to try and bring forward this whole raft of different initiatives into a constructive system. Now, there's been a lot of contributions today talking about promoting the value of apprenticeships to young people. What you actually find is that when these major companies bring forward their apprenticeship schemes, there's no lack of people applying for them. There's 200 people for every job. What we need to do is make apprenticeships more attractive to businesses, and particularly to SMEs, because we've got a system that's entirely designed around the BAEs, the Rolls-Royces of this world. And actually what we need to do is reflect the reality of the economy, which is in many of our towns we have mainly small businesses who are completely excluded from the system. So when the Minister gets to her feet, I hope she can say a lot more about when the government's going to bring this growth and skills levy forward, what the role of Skills England is going to be, and how we're going to end up with a more systemic approach to capitalise on the huge interest there is in this subject and actually make sure we make real progress going forward.
Thank you, Ms Jardine. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship, and my thanks to my honourable friend, the member for Peterborough, for getting this debate ahead of Apprenticeship Week next week. I'm a great advocate, Ms Jardine, of the apprenticeship system. Indeed, this time last year I was employed at the University of Nottingham teaching degree-level apprenticeships in electromechanical engineering. These degree-level apprenticeships courses strongly complement a traditional format degree-level education and powerfully support the government's skills agenda. Today I'd like to focus specifically on degree-level apprenticeships and the unique offering that they provide. The course I helped deliver at Nottingham was a new paradigm in degree delivery, Ms Jardine. When one pictures a degree in mechanical engineering, one could be forgiven for thinking of an aged lecturer, often male, often white, delivering a sermon on gear ratios or some such nonsense to a half-empty oak-panelled lecture hall, with his students often more taken by the declining state of repair of his ochre elbow patches than the content of his lectures. But, Ms Jardine, this image could not be further from the course that my colleagues and I were delivering last year. In a degree-level apprenticeship, content is commonly provided asynchronously via recording and digital exercise in a manner significantly more engaging than otherwise might be possible in a traditionally based degree. Indeed, Ms Jardine, when I was in my previous employment, I often joked that my role was closer to a professional YouTuber than it was a traditional lecturer, with my days spent recording and editing 15 to 20-minute videos in a bite-sized, easily digestible format. I want to see, Ms Jardine, more degree-level apprenticeships offered to allow more people to access the knowledge and experience offered in a degree-level apprenticeship. I want to see people thrive with a new skills offering, and I want to reverse the decline in apprenticeships that happened under the previous government. This Friday, Ms Jardine, I will be visiting JTL Training in Sandy Acre in my constituency, a training facility that supports career development and business growth, and apprenticeships and traineeships in building services engineering. I'm really looking forward to meeting the apprentices on Friday and talking to them about how exactly we can support their growth and indeed the growth of our nation.
Nezel Kalisker.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. The families and young people embarking in Dagenham are not short of aspiration or willingness to work hard. but the lack of opportunities mean that a staggering 46% of 19-year-olds within Barking and Dagenham lack qualifications, the second worst statistic in London. And the statistic doesn't much improve as young adults become older. 22% of the residents in the area that I represent have no qualifications at all. And of course, behind every statistic is a person, a life, and a wasted potential. Unemployment because of a skills gap also holds us back as a country. And economic inactivity is 25% in Barking and Dagenham, higher than the London average. So this topic really matters to my constituents. The truth is, many of the people that I represent do want to work, but the skills programmes and apprenticeship opportunities are simply not there. Indeed, the National Apprenticeship Levy is a system that is broken, something I know too well as I led a local authority prior to coming to this place. That's why I welcome the government's announcement to establish the Skills England, and I'd welcome the Minister's remarks and more details on that timeline, because the skills and apprenticeship challenge is a national one. UK workforce compared to other OECD countries is underqualified, primarily because the country has a much lower uptake of technical training compared to other levels of study, for reasons the Honourable Member for Peterborough has outlined. So a national commitment to a comprehensive apprenticeship scheme is really, really important, one that includes SME businesses, particularly like those in my constituency of Barking, because I frequently meet apprentices who tell me that the additional support that they get from micro or smaller employers is outstanding. Finally, I want to just talk about the importance of linking a skills agenda to an industrial strategy, something that has been lacking for the past 14 years. Without a comprehensive industrial strategy and a skills agenda that sits side by side, I think we'll set ourselves up for failure. And so I welcome the government's commitment on both of these. Thank you, Chair.
Alistair Strathern.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnny. It's a pleasure, Chair, of your chairship. I just want to welcome my honourable friend's work, not just in securing this debate, but the leadership he's shown on this issue long before he became an MP. Now, apprenticeships matter to me not just because I've seen firsthand the impact they can have on young people's lives. I recognise they're also crucial for delivering on this government's agenda too. We're not going to have the construction and skills needed to get Britain building again, from key infrastructure to affordable housing, without action on apprenticeships. We're not going to have the workforce skills needed to seize the benefits of the green transition, from retrofitting to green manufacturing, without action on apprenticeships. And crucially for me, we're not going to live up to our aspiration to be less agnostic about the type of growth, the type of jobs and who benefits from them for the first time in a long time in this country without action on apprenticeships. Now, I'm lucky to have some fantastic businesses and training providers across my constituency. I've had not one but two now Secretary of State come to visit them with me. First, the now Secretary of State for Science, Technology and Innovation came to visit Cadent to see the incredible pride that their apprenticeships took in the skills they were learning at their training centre in Hitchin. And secondly, the now Secretary of State for Education, coming to see the fantastic charity Amazing Apprenticeships, founded by Hitchin resident Anna Morrison CBE, who agitate for better action and ambition around apprenticeships and who support more young people to access them, not just locally, but across the country. It's clear, speaking to them, the huge pride they take in the work they do, the huge pride they take in the opportunities available to them, but also the greater optimism that they now have for their own futures as a result of these apprenticeships. And that's an optimism I want more people in my constituency to be able to access. Speaking to employers and Anna, it's clear there's more we can do. Whether it's making sure we're building out functional skills to ensure that employers have confidence in them and more young people can access them. To make sure that as we build out the huge opportunity that foundation apprenticeships could provide, we're supporting more employers and particularly more SMEs to make sure they are able to offer them and they truly can be that stepping stone for more young people into apprenticeships. And to make sure we're building on the greater awareness young people now have apprenticeships into greater apprenticeship starts. That declined heartbreakingly under the last government. My young people deserve a lot better. I look forward to working with the Minister to make sure they get it.
Lee Ingham.
Jardine. I welcome today's debate and the focus on apprenticeships, which is so important. Apprenticeships and the narratives around them, as the Honourable Member for Peterborough suggested earlier, is something that has changed a lot in recent years. When I was younger, apprenticeships were seen as something that working class kids did. They weren't considered academic or necessarily broad. They were in traditional trades, like being a hairdresser, an electrician, a plumber or a builder. My dad did one, actually, completing the training to be a bricklayer. However, now it's quite different. You can do an apprenticeship in anything, from computer science to law to being a chef or a pilot. And it's also not just something for people fresh out of college anymore or fresh out of high school. Apprentices in my constituency of Stafford, Eccleshall and the Villages, many of them are older than 25, and the majority of those apprenticeships undertaken are advanced qualifications. Our policies must reflect these shifts. That's why I welcome the work of Skills England in driving forward national skills development and transforming opportunities for young people and for those who are switching careers. Apprenticeships don't just provide education, they're a powerful tool for economic growth, as many honourable members have mentioned, particularly in towns. I regularly meet with Newcastle and Stafford Colleges Group, the outstanding college in my constituency, which collaborates with over 700 employers, from small businesses to multinational corporations. Their success in securing apprenticeships highlights the vital role that apprenticeships play in bridging the skills gaps and strengthening our workforce. I'm also glad that Skills England is committed to working right across industry with employers and other key organisations to identify and refine their assessment of the UK skills needs. We must be laser focused on the skills shortages, but particularly amongst SMEs as well, whilst ensuring that apprenticeships work for businesses and for the person. I believe the review by Skills England would hold the answers we need, and I look forward to the Minister telling us where the government is at with that and the timeline for that process.
Thank you very briefly, Antonia Lance, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thanks to my honourable friend, the member for Peterborough, for securing the debate. I'm a proud manufacturing MP from the Black Country, representing Tipton, Wednesbury and Coseley, where manufacturing still makes up 25% of the jobs available, but we have 2.5 times the national average with no qualifications. I want to make 3 points today. Firstly, I want our skills strategy to prioritise manufacturing, engineering and construction in line with the industrial strategy. We don't want to see welding and bricklaying and retrofitting on the Migration Advisory Committee's shortage list, because we want to grow our own. And we want to build those 1.5 million new homes with new construction workers brought through construction apprentices, which is why I'm so worried that there were only 24,000 construction apprenticeship starts last year. Secondly, I want us to prioritise those level 3 and 4 apprenticeships, because that's where the wages premium really is. Just 17% of people in my constituency have level 4 skills, but they make up 40% of the jobs on offer need level 4 skills. My final point is this: the mandatory level grade 4 English and Maths at GCSE continues to be a barrier for young people accessing apprenticeships in my constituency. The perpetual resits are so dispiriting. We all need qualifications, and I stand to no one, I bow to no one in saying that working class kids need qualifications, but there has to be a better way, and I hope the Minister has some answers for me. I will do.
No, thank you. Liberal Democrat spokesperson Mike Wilkinson, please.
Thank you, Ms Jardine. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship, and I congratulate the honourable member for securing this debate. Now, apprenticeships are a vital part of our education system, and Liberal Democrats think there should be more of them. Apprenticeships break down barriers to opportunity, and they offer young people a chance to learn while earning through vocational placements. However, after years of Conservative failure, the system is now badly struggling. It is failing to attract the number of young people it should be. Yes, of course.
I'm grateful to him for giving way, and I'm grateful also for him saying there that the Liberal Democrats believe there should be more apprenticeships. We heard from one of his colleagues saying that the apprenticeship levy should be abolished. So can you just clarify, is that Liberal Democrat policy? And if so, how does he intend to fund these extra apprenticeships that he wants?
I'll move on to that, and you will find that there is a pleasing sense of consensus here between my party and his. But there are positive stories around, and if I might, Chair, I will start by highlighting an example of good practice from Cheltenham. In our area, the member for Gloucester mentioned Gloucester, and we have one of the most influential, if not the most influential, cyber clusters outside of London, with 5,000 members in Synam. They work closely with academia and the education sector to build the skills that drive
growth. Now, Gloucestershire College is helping to equip the cybersecurity professionals of tomorrow with the skills they need via a range of digital and cyber apprenticeships, both in Cheltenham and in my neighbour's constituency. Apprentices at Gloucester College benefit from being in the heart of Cheltenham's cybersecurity community, close to GCHQ and the Golden Valley development, alongside experienced professionals based in co-working spaces on site. The Cyber Degree Apprenticeship, which was mentioned earlier on, Cyber Degree Apprenticeships, they're endorsed by the National Cybersecurity Centre and offered in partnership with the University of the West of England. This gives young people a route into a huge growth sector. It helps our economy locally and nationally to thrive, and it makes our nation safer too. The college is also offering courses at its new £5.2 million Sustainable Construction Centre. The Honourable Member mentioned green skills earlier on, and this is equipping young people with the skills we need to deliver the built environment we need for the future. Now, these are just two examples from Gloucestershire College, led ably by its visionary principal, Matthew Burgess. This is a local success story that myself and the member for Gloucester are rightly proud of, and it shows that offering apprenticeships should be a much bigger priority for this country. Yep, of course.
I'm grateful to my honourable friend. Would he agree that another key development site similar to the projects he mentioned is the Tartar's Agratas Gigafactory near Taunton? And would you agree that it's important that the college is able to set up the apprenticeships and skills training in advance of the factory being built? And would you support requests to the Minister to facilitate that?
Of course, an alignment of skills with the jobs need for the future is something that is key in the apprenticeship sector. But flawed policy in the past means that there's been a clear drop-off in new apprentices in recent years. Just over 736,000 apprentices participated in an apprenticeship in the last academic year, a slight decrease of 2.1% on the previous reporting period. Now, apprenticeship starts overall have fallen by 170,000 since 2015-16, when the Conservatives started governing alone. The deal on offer is clearly not as attractive as it once was. Now, we all need to recognise that apprentices have the same rights as other employees, but experience a large pay disparity compared with other workers. The national minimum wage will be £11.44 for those aged 21 and over, but for a first-year apprentice, the rate is much lower. Young people are not immune from the cost of living crisis, and the disparity between those two wages might be a disincentive. So we wonder whether ministers have considered whether this is a disincentive and might be putting off young people from taking up apprenticeships. Now, the Liberal Democrats would scrap the apprentice rate and instead pay apprentices more fairly. We must also reform the apprenticeship levy. Many members have mentioned this today. If you talk to any employers, they will tell you the apprenticeship levy simply does not work. The House of Commons Library report briefing shows that there are large underspends every single year. The amount of money that is being put aside to train young people is simply not being spent. The Association of Employment and Learning Providers says that this money is being raised for skills but not being spent on skills at a time when governments, this one and the past one, say it is keen to encourage businesses to invest in skills. The Lib Dems would replace the broken apprenticeship levy with a broader and more flexible skills and training levy. So we are pleased to hear that the government wants to abolish the apprenticeship levy and replace it with a new growth and skills levy under Skills England. That's a positive step. However, it's clear that there is still work to be done in establishing the new levy and Skills England to oversee it, so we'd appreciate an update from the Minister on where things are with that. There is also a concern that careers advice systems are not being properly set up to advise people of the many opportunities in apprenticeships. Now, if we're going to fill those skills gaps we've discussed, alignment of that careers advice with those skills gaps is going to be really key. So in conclusion, we Liberal Democrats believe that apprenticeships have a much bigger role to play. We welcome the government's plan for changing the system. If we get this reform right, we'll help young people and employers too. And central to that will be finally getting rid of the failed apprenticeship levy, properly valuing apprenticeships and learning from best practice, like in my constituency and that of my neighbour in Gloucester.
Opposition spokesperson Rebecca Paul.
It is a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, Ms Jardine, and to be responding today for the first time for His Majesty's opposition. I wish to begin today by sincerely congratulating the Honourable Member for Peterborough on securing this debate, addressing the value of apprenticeships and National Apprenticeships Week. We have heard some tremendously insightful points this morning, and as others have done already, I thank all members for their contributions. I think it is apparent that everyone who has spoken today recognises the inherent merit of apprenticeships. And it was we in the Conservative Party who acted to deliver a world-class apprenticeship system that has created opportunities for countless young people that would otherwise have remained out of reach, allowing them to earn whilst they learn. Indeed, since 2010, there have been over 5.8 million apprenticeship starts, with 736,500 people participating in an apprenticeship in England in the 2023-24 academic year alone. These numbers are impressive, but what truly makes the system we put in place one of the most laudable in the world is the sheer diversity of occupations which it has opened up to our young people. In England today, the apprenticeship system reaches out into nearly 700 different occupations, everything from finance to agriculture to construction to nuclear physics. This means that today it is now more viable than ever before for young people to chart their own paths and take those vital first steps into the careers that they have been dreaming of. Of course, a robust apprenticeship scheme offering access to qualifications ranging from level 2 through to master's degrees at level 7 cannot be delivered on the cheap. This is why successive Conservative governments always sought to fund apprenticeships properly. For our final year in office, we delivered £2.7 billion for apprenticeships. As members will appreciate, though, even the most excellent apprenticeship schemes are of little use if there isn't the anticipated uptake. This is why, in government, we set out to cut red tape for businesses, offering apprenticeships. We fully funded young people up to the age of 21 undertaking apprenticeships in small businesses, increased the amount of money apprenticeship levy payers could give to SMEs to hire an apprentice, and put all apprenticeships on UCAS so young people can compare apprenticeships in the same way they would a university degree. I'm sorry, I think I will need to make progress in order that the Minister has sufficient time. My apologies. Crucially, it was a Conservative government that brought the Skills and Post-16 Education Act into law, ensuring that all pupils now meet providers of technical education so that they understand the wide range of career routes and training available to them, such as apprenticeships, T-levels or traineeships, not just the traditional academic options. Now, I know that members will have their own accounts of how this fantastic system is working to nurture and support young people in their constituencies, and of course we've heard many of them today. And I felt I couldn't miss the opportunity presented by this debate to highlight one of my own. I was recently fortunate enough to visit the UK headquarters of Toyota located in Burheath in Reigate constituency. This visit included the chance to meet and hear from some of the outstanding apprentices working at the company, and I was struck by the enthusiasm, intelligence and dedication of these young workers. Truly impressive. Though still in the early stages of their careers, these apprentices were already making hugely valuable contributions across departments from engineering to finance to marketing. In return, they were receiving experience and training that I have no doubt will leave them in excellent standing for the duration of their working lives. This is an example of apprenticeships done right, an exemplar of what Conservative governments have been working to enable and support for the last 14 years. It is, of course, of real concern, then, that today the very framework that made these apprenticeships and so many others like them possible now appears to be in some jeopardy. That jeopardy arises from a government commitment to replace the current apprenticeship levy with a growth and skills levy that will allow firms to spend up to 50% of their levy contributions on non-apprenticeship related training. If we make the plausible assumption that businesses take maximum advantage of this flexibility, the number of apprenticeships on offer could slump from around 350,000 to just 140,000, a 60% decrease. Of particular concern is that the worst of this impact would be felt by our youngest workers at the very first stages of their careers. If we again assume the full 50% decrease in spending, the number of apprenticeships available to those under the age of 19 would crash to below 40,000. This would be a drop from 106,000 in 2017. I do concede that the government's intended approach might make some degree of sense if a significant portion of the apprenticeship levy remained unspent and would otherwise be serving no useful purpose. However, this is simply not the case. A full 98% of the apprenticeship budget has been used up over the last 2 years. This is funding that has gone to support high-quality, career-boosting apprenticeships of the sort we have been discussing this morning. It is concerning that this commitment risks seeing apprenticeship funding diffuse out into lower-value courses or even seminars and programmes that employers would have offered otherwise. This is clearly not in the best interest of our young people and risks creating a cohort with markedly worse life chances than that which came before. Now, it may well be the case that the government intends to have their cake and eat it here. It would be possible to both allow firms the flexibility to spend 50% of their levy contributions elsewhere and to maintain the current number of apprenticeships, but this could only be achieved with additional government spending. To maintain the number of apprenticeship starts at the current level, assuming the 50% flexibility on levy spending, the government would be forced to invest an additional £1.5 billion of new funding. I would ask that the Minister today provides clarity on the government's intentions here. Will firms be given the 50% discretion to divert funding away from apprenticeships, as was previously announced? If so, will the government step in with fresh investment to maintain numbers, or will they allow our dynamic apprenticeship system to wither? If ministers intend to intercede, where will the £1.5 billion they need be found? I pose these important questions not to score political points, but because we derive enormous value in this country from the transformative effect of apprenticeships and want to see as many young people benefit from them as possible. I would also like to say a very brief word on defence with one eye on the clock to ensure the Minister has sufficient time to wind up. As of November 2023, the Ministry of Defence was the largest single deliverer of apprenticeships in the UK, with over 22,000 personnel engaged on a nationally recognised apprenticeship programme at any one time. In addition, over 95% of our non-commissioned military recruits are offered an apprenticeship after their trade training. This includes schemes with focuses on digital, nuclear, analytics and much more. Apprenticeships are a thread which runs through our armed forces, Ministry of Defence and those private sector organisations which support both. It is of great importance that in their rush to redefine the way apprenticeships are delivered in this country, the government does not deprive our armed forces of the much needed talent and capacity that is now nurtured and developed through apprenticeship schemes. I have left the Minister much to address, and so will now end where I began, by congratulating the Honourable Member for Peterborough for providing us with this valuable opportunity to express our support for and commitment to apprenticeships, and to wish everyone participating from the 10th of February a very successful National Apprenticeship Week. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Janet Davey, please.
Thank you. It's a privilege to speak with you in the chair. I congratulate my honourable friend for Peterborough on securing a debate on this subject and for his thoughtful speech, whether in debates like today or in his role as co-chair of the Apprenticeships APPG. My honourable friend is an excellent ambassador for apprenticeships, and I appreciate his enthusiasm and his drive, and I was very much impressed to hear that he has visited over 100 businesses, and if I'm correct, since being a Member of Parliament. Extremely impressive. Now, indeed, you've heard that I have a good many questions to respond to, and I will endeavour to do my best on this issue. But I would like to say it is very refreshing to hear from the many members on this side of the floor with regards to their grassroots experiences, very much those that have held jobs or been apprentices, and very well connected to their community. So I'd like to appreciate you all for that. I would also like to help set the record straight in terms of what we have inherited. So, of course, inheriting are the 22 billion black hole, and to set the record straight, we have also inherited 1 in 8 16 to 24-year-old young people not in education, employment or training. And indeed, the UK employers have also said to us that a third of vacancies is due to skills shortages under the previous government. And we also know that technical training on level 4 and 5 in the UK is only 4% compared to Germany at 20% and to Canada at 34%. This is what we've inherited. Absolutely staggering. This government is a government for change. We are going to be investing. We are investing in young people and their future careers. And I'm going to continue speaking about this here. Thank you. I also like to acknowledge everybody that has spoken, ranging from the honourable friends and honourable members, Staffordshire, Glasgow and Somerset, Barrow and Furness, Strangford, Gloucestershire, Rugby, Aldridge and Brownhill, Coatbridge and Bells Hill, Leicester South, Derby South, Folkestone and Hythe, Paisley and Renfrewshire South, Carlisle, Hexham, South West Yorkshire, Nuneaton, Rosendale and Darwen, Colchester, Erewash, Barking, Hitchin, Stafford, Tipton and Westonbury, and of course Cheltenham and Reigate. Thank you all for your many contributions. The National Apprenticeship Week promises to be the best yet, with over 1,000 events across the country showcasing all that apprenticeships have to offer. Now, as well as the wonderful apprentices taking to social media, including Instagram, to share taking their stories and inspiring the apprenticeships of tomorrow, I would like to put on record my thanks to all the apprentices, employers and providers that work so hard to provide these opportunities and to make apprenticeships such a success. But we know right now that the system is not working for far too many young people who have the most to gain from apprenticeships, but who have too often been locked out of accessing these opportunities. With apprenticeship starts by young people under 25 have fallen by almost 40% between 2015-16 and 2023-24. We are committed to changing that and rebalancing the system to support more young people. And that is why we are introducing new foundation apprenticeships in targeted, growing sectors. These will give more young people a foot in the door at the start of their working lives, while supporting the pipeline of new talent that employers will need to drive economic growth. We are working closely with employers and providers to design these new offers and ensure they have the opportunity to develop their infrastructure before training and assessment starts. We also want to make sure that apprentice wages support the attraction of talented individuals into apprenticeships, and we're increasing the apprenticeship minimum wage by 18% this April, from £6.40 to £7.55, which will boost the hourly rate for thousands of young apprentices across a range of sectors and those in their first year of apprenticeships. We will continue to support care leavers to undertake apprenticeships. Apprenticeships under the age of 25 that have been in local authority care can claim a bursary of £3,000 when they start an apprenticeship. And we will continue to pay £1,000 to both employers and training providers to support them to take on apprentices aged 19 or 19 to 24 years old of apprenticeships if they have an education, health and care plan or have been in care. Employers are exempt from paying towards employees' national insurance or for all apprentices aged up to 25 when the employer wage is below £50,270 a year. As we work to support more apprenticeship opportunities for young people, it is vital that we make sure young people are aware of those opportunities. We are promoting career starter apprenticeships suitable for young people leaving full-time education and targeting young people through the Skills for Life campaign. And we have committed to improving careers advice and guaranteeing 2 weeks' worth of work experience for every young person, as well as establishing a national jobs and careers service to support people into work and to get them into work completely. We are also taking action to support employers who want to build the skills workforce they need for long-term success, who have told us that they have not been able to find the right training options. Indeed, in recent years, UK employers have said that over a third of their vacancies were down to skill shortages. And that is why, as the first key step of our levy-funded growth and skills offer, we will be introducing shorter duration apprenticeships. Shorter duration apprenticeships will allow employers to benefit from high-quality apprenticeships, will allow employers to benefit, as I've said, from high-quality apprenticeship training for valuable, in-demand roles that need less than 12 months training to be fully occupationally competent, offering more flexibility where that is right for the employer and indeed the learner. We will continue to listen to employers as we deliver the greater flexibility they have called for, and we will continue to work with employers as we build a vigorous and responsive skills system that will support employers to fill skills gaps that are holding back our economy. After the Conservatives left us with a collapsing apprenticeship system as well as skills shortages, Labour is listening to employers and redrawing the system through Skills England, a new growth and skills levy and new foundation apprenticeships. Apprenticeship starts by young people have fallen under by young people under 25 have fallen by almost 40% between 2015 to 16 and 2023 to 24. The government is focusing on establishing a coherent skills system with more flexible training options that support employees to fill skills gaps while driving growth and spreading opportunity. We are introducing foundation apprenticeships to get young people into work-based training and employment, as well as delivering shorter school duration apprenticeships to provide flexibility for employers and learners. Now, SMEs are incredibly important to the economy and to apprenticeships. SMEs are more likely to employ younger apprentices and apprentices from disadvantaged areas. We pay 100% of the training costs for young apprenticeships aged 16 to 21 and for apprentices aged 22 to 24 who have education, health and care plan or have been in local authority care where they have undertaken apprenticeships with SMEs. We also pay, as I've mentioned, £1,000 to employers and providers to apprentices aged 16 to 18 and for apprentices aged 19 to 24 who have an EHCP. We will make sure to consider the needs of the smaller employer as we develop our levy-funded growth skills offer. This government's first mission is to kickstart economic growth. We know that across the country, skills gaps are holding back businesses' growth, and we will support employees to invest in skills training, which brings me on to Skills England. We know that right now the skills system in England is complex and there is no shared national ambition on skills development. There is a need to bring together a range of functions currently scattered across different organisations in one place to better support the delivery of the skills the economy needs and further our industrial strategy and growth opportunities missions. And that is why we are setting up Skills England to address these problems by bringing coherent and efficiency to the system for the benefit of learners, businesses and local areas. One of the things that Skills England will do is to make sure that we know where our skills gaps are and the training needs to fill them now and in the future. Skills England will combine the best available statistical data with insights generated from employers and other key stakeholders, and it will ensure there is a comprehensive suite of apprenticeships, training and technical qualifications which are aligned with skills gaps and the needs of employers. The first Skills England report highlighted employer demands for skill level 4 and 5 skills in the economy, high technical qualifications, level 4 and 5 qualifications that have been independently approved as providing the skill employer needs. Skills England will work closely with employers, providers, trade unions, government departments, combined authorities, regional bodies and other agencies, all of which will help deliver on our mission to drive economic growth and open up a world of opportunity for young people and indeed adults. The government has an ambitious plan for rebuilding Britain. We will deliver 1.5 million homes in England in this Parliament. Around 5,000 more construction apprenticeship places will be made available per year by 2027-28, thanks to a 140 million industry investment to get Britain building again. We welcome Peterborough's commitment to breaking down barriers to opportunities by being part of one of 8 youth blazers that will launch in April 2025. Peterborough and Cambridgeshire have just announced the formation of their own youth forum to shape their youth guarantee, which ensure the voices and perspectives of young people are included in decision making and that their pilot will address the needs and challenges faced by the young people in our area. It was wonderful to hear from many MPs about their work, what's happening in their constituencies, and I thank everybody for championing on the work that this government is taking in this area. Thank you, Chair.
The question is that this House has considered the value of apprenticeships and National Apprenticeships Week. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. We're out of time. We don't actually have time, and the member did indicate at the beginning that he didn't mind. Okay, thank you very much. So if I could repeat, as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Of the contrary, no? The ayes have it. Thank you. Order. Order.